The air is thick with the roar of conch shells and clattering armor. A heavy chariot grinds to a halt in the churned mud. Standing in that chariot is Arjuna, the most lethal archer of his era. He has commanded his driver to park in the exact center of the killing field, positioned between two massive infantries. In a standard epic, the hero would use this moment to size up a faceless horde of monsters waiting to be vanquished. But in this narrow strip of no man's land, Arjuna is insulated from the noise of the ranks. He occupies a pocket of silence in the center of the chaos. Scanning the opposing phalanx, Arjuna finds a mirror of his own life looking back at him from across the front lines. As the most skilled warrior on the field, Arjuna is almost certain to survive the physical clash. However, the faces he recognizes in the distance shift the stakes of the battle, from his physical survival to the internal cost of the coming violence. This layout grounds us in Arjuna's vantage point. He stands at the absolute center, flanked by vast blocks of opposing troops. The text uses the Sanskrit term apashyat, describing a deliberate, searching scan of the lines, rather than a passive glance. His gaze focuses first on the highest tier of the social hierarchy, the older generation. Among the opposing ranks, he identifies his own grandfathers, including revered figures like Bhishma and Somadatta. Right beside them are his teachers, Dronacharya and Kripacharya. These are the men who first placed a bow in Arjuna's hands and trained him in the very arts he is expected to use today. To fight now means weaponizing his skills against his own mentors. Every arrow he might loose would be a betrayal of the men who built his foundation as a warrior. The perspective shifts from the macro map to the individual faces of his peers as his gaze moves down the generational line. He recognizes his maternal uncles, Shalya and Shakuni, standing alongside his cousin and brother, Duryodhana. In the middle of the enemy formation, he sees lifelong friends like Ashwatthama, men who should be his companions rather than his targets. His eyes finally find the youth, the sons and grandsons like Lakshmana, who are waiting for the signal to begin the slaughter. The phrase senayor ubayor api translates to of both parties. It highlights that this web of kinship isn't confined to the enemy side. His family is saturated across every inch of the battlefield. Whether he wins or loses, the outcome remains the same: the total erasure of his own bloodline and the collapse of his social fabric. The sprawling scale of the battlefield disappears as Arjuna's resolve breaks. This observation strips away the framing of a simple, righteous war, of good versus evil. The men in his sights are his own kin. He is paralyzed. This is not the paralysis of a coward fearing death, but the stillness of a man facing an action he finds fundamentally unbearable. He is caught in a trap between his duty to fight as a member of the warrior caste and his moral identity as a family member. This moral vacuum, where every choice leads to destruction, is what necessitates the 700 verses of philosophical dialogue that follow in the Bhagavad Gita. The scene suggests that the most difficult conflicts are not resolved by defeating a faceless enemy, but by navigating the devastating personal costs of our own duties.